Hi everybody! In this movie I'd like to show you how you can make your own line through pencil lures like these ones. This is my own pencil lure called Penceel, which is used for coastal fishing for sea trout here in Denmark. As I was a bit pressed for time, I asked some friends to help me test the lure, and already from day one it really proved its worth. I'd like to take you through all the processes of making such lure, all the way from the start where you just have some thoughts on a piece of paper till the end where you have the finished lure. After that we'll go on some test fishing and hopefully we'll be lucky to catch a sea trout on our new lure. Pencil lures are quite commonly used when fishing for sea trouts here in Denmark. Like mine, many of them are shaped like Sandeel, as the trout really likes to eat those. But as you also can see from the colors of mine here, they can be painted to look as many other preys, and in the end it's probably more a question about appearance and movement than looking exactly like a Sandeel. This was the drawing I made prior to making my first Penceel. This would be considered a fairly big pencil lure for sea trout, so I thought for this movie I would make a smaller version of the same lure. One of the advantages of making a drawing like I done is that you can simply resize it by using a photocopier and zooming in and out. So what I've done now is that I've taken a copy of this one at 90% the size, so I'll make a fairly a bit smaller lure. This one has a weight of approximately 20 grams, and I think by reducing it by 10% I will actually get a reduction in weight by 30-40%, as you have to calculate the volume of the whole bait for that. So I hope to, I'm aiming for going for 15 or 16 grams on this lure. The plan for the master is to make it in balsa. Balsa is very easy to handle and easy to shape. Of course it's also very easy to make dents in, so I have to be a bit careful, but I think it will work fine. For this purpose I have two sheets of balsa plate here, one that is 5 mm thick, which will act as the sides, and one that is 2 mm thick that will act as the center. Apart from that, I have some plastic tubes which will act as the pipe where you can let the line through. I will place those in the center of the lure once they are made. For starters, I'll just measure out how much I need here on the drawing, as the original drawing was in full size, scale 1:1. The 90% reduced would also be in scale, so I can just measure on the drawing to see how everything fits according to my plans. Okay, and at the highest point here we are just below 1.2 millimeters, so I will just make sure that I have a slice that is 1.2 millimeters of the thick one. At least double the length of the lure, so I need one for each side. Okay, and I just put a fresh blade into my knife, so it should be quite easy to cut through the balsa here. Like that. I'll just cut it off at the end, like that. Okay, that was the piece for the sides, and for the center I actually need a thinner one, and as the pipe here itself is 3 millimeters and the height should be 12 millimeters, I need a slice that is 4.5 millimeter thick. I'll go for 5 and just grind a bit off, I think. And as the first one was 12 centimeters long, I will know that this would be 10.8 centimeters, so I'll just cut 2 pieces of that length. And the same with the other one here. I'll just use this one for measurement. As the master doesn't really have to hold anything but itself together, I'll just use super glue for this part. This wouldn't be optimal if I had something that was actually supposed to last, but for this purpose it's quite fine. So I'll just add the one side here. Put down my tube or my pipe here. Adding this one for the other end, like that, and like that. Okay. Don't use too much force because, as we talked about earlier, the balsa is quite soft. Okay, then we'll just leave it here for a few minutes to harden. Shouldn't take that long. While I'm waiting for the glue to dry, I've printed out another copy of my drawing here, and I'll just cut that one out so I have something to shape my lure from. Okay, now I have the silhouette of the lure here, so I can just glue that onto the side here. Don't need to use too much glue, like that. I'll just make sure that it matches the point where the pipe should exit. Like that. Okay, now I have a piece of balsa with the silhouette on the side and my tube or pipe going all the way through. So now I can start shaping it, and as it's balsa, it is more or less just start cutting along the sides here. Carefully removing the you want to make sure that you're cutting in a right angle. You can just use your, seems that something is missing here. Okay, well, the rough shape of the lure is now here. So now I'll attempt to do the other one. So once again, I'll just take my drawing here. Okay, once again I'll glue it on. As you can see, once it's curved, it won't the distance from the ends will be a little longer than when it was flat, so I will have to compensate for that a bit when I cut, but apart from that, this works quite fine. So once again, a few like that, and now I can just do what I did before, and as you can see, I will have to cut off the first part of the drawing. Once again, I'll just check if the angles are as expected. It always is wider at the bottom, except for this one. So I'll just take a bit off. So far so good. I have the rough shapes of my lure here. One of my most trusted tools when working with balsa is my piece of wood here with some sandpaper glued on. This gives me a very nice tool for shaping, especially larger areas here that has to be flat. So I'll just finish up some of the surfaces here that I've already made. Now it is actually as close to the two pieces of the drawing as possible, seen from above and from the side. Now only one thing is missing. On my drawing here I have made some points where I would how I would like the shape of a cut through to be. So that is what I'm going to try to shape now. And the only point that is quite important is where the gill plate is supposed to start and end. So I'll just try to mark that out. Okay. And below that, the rest of the body here at the lower part would be very much more narrow than the top part. So I'll take my sandpaper here and I'll cut, start to grind down to that shape down here. When I sand things in wood, generally, I always try to do one side and then do the other side right away, so I can see, well, this sanding, this angle would be this wide, then I can make the same width on the other side. By doing that, I'm fairly sure that the result will be symmetrical on both sides. At least that's the idea. So I'll try to work one side at a time, but never do more than a few strokes and then go to the other side to be sure that it gets similar. Well, I think I've done as much as I want now with the coarse sandpaper. Everything is a bit blurry here, but I think more or less this is it. On the other side of this stick I have some finer sandpaper I can use to smoothen out a bit here. So I'll just see, as that will give me a better visual overview of how everything is. Now I think I'm satisfied with the shape of this one. At least it will be hard to get closer without giving it a few layers of paint first. First of all, because the paint will help make the surface of the lure a bit harder and not as sensitive to the sandpaper. And also, once it has one color paint, it will be easier to see how the shapes are. So I think that for now I'll just I'll go paint this one a few layers of white paint, and then we'll see afterwards. The master have now had a few layers of spray paint, and now when it's one color only, it's very easy to see any imperfections and shape things that needs to be corrected. Also, I can see that all the fibers of the wood have risen up through the paint, and it's quite easy to sand those away with a bit of sandpaper now. So now, as some of the paint has been sucked into the wood, it has hardened the surface of the wood, making it easier to sand and shape without getting into the soft balsa. Okay, so by now I'll just wipe it over with some sandpaper, starting with some grade 280 just for the first part, and then ending up with grade 1000, which is more or less just polishing it off. And then let's see if some of the cracks might need a little bit of filler, but I'll wait till I'm finished sanding with that. Well, I now finished sanding off the master here, and as there's only a very few minor cracks and dents in it, I think those will be filled by spray paint once I paint it again. So I think I'll just go back into the shed and give it a few more layers of the spray paint, and then we'll see how it looks afterwards. With a few more layers of paint, I'm now quite satisfied with the master. There is a few small imperfections, but I don't think I'll do much about them this time. As always, when you are at this stage, you don't really know if the lure will be a success. So you can always, when making a new mold for it, you can always correct those imperfections if they are showing up in the first mold. Anyway, it's looking quite fine, and as you can see, well, it isn't exactly like the drawing I made. They never get to be that, but anyway, the drawing made me end up at nearly the same result as I did on the first one, just a bit smaller, which was the purpose of the whole thing.